Now, I'm not saying Spence don't have some of these qualities, but to the degree that I've recognized it with Crawford, it's at a very special degree. And because of that, yeah, the other guy's bigger. Yeah, the other guy can be relentless sometimes. And yeah, he has a better IQ than people give him credit for because he used the jab and he had that great pedigree from the amateurs with the yeah, all of that. And I love the way he conducts himself outside the ring and in the ring. All of it, both of them. But for what I just laid out, I'm taking Crawford.
While heavyweights engage in empty negotiations and fight for every meager cent in their contracts, the two best welterweights on the planet are already in the final stages of preparation for a showdown to unify all the titles. On July the 29th, Terence Crawford and Errol Spence will collide in a fight that has been eagerly anticipated for 5 agonizing years and will become a turning point in the modern history of boxing. Currently, neither of these guys has suffered a single defeat, but soon that will change and the question remains, who among them will lose their undefeated record forever? Today's video will be dedicated to the technical analysis of the fight between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. Please don't forget to like, comment with forwards and subscribe to never miss new videos. And let's go! To cover all the significant events that have occurred in the lives of these fighters on their paths to this bout, we would need to produce a 10-season series. However, we don't have that much time, so let's briefly touch upon the essence. The boxers are almost the same age, with only a 2-year difference between them, but they started their boxing journeys at completely different times. Crawford was involved in gloves since infancy, honing his punches, while Spence joined the circle of boxers only in his teenage years, which did not prevent him from easily overshadowing Crawford's accomplishments at the amateur level. Yes, Crawford didn't have much luck when he competed with headgear, so at the age of 20, he transitioned to the professional ranks, starting not in the welterweight division, but in the lightweight division. Spence entered the world of professionals in 2012, 4 years later than Crawford, and also competed right away in his native weight category, which he continues to haunt to this day. As Crawford gained muscle mass, he moved up to the light welterweight division, where within a few years of competition, he not only won a belt but became the undisputed champion, the first in the history of that weight class. The opposition there, of course, was not the highest level, but it is simply impossible to deny Crawford's incredible achievements. Having accomplished everything at 140 pounds, in 2018, Crawford decided to move up in weight again and entered Spence's category. The 4-year difference in professional debuts heavily impacted Spence, who was still gaining momentum but already held the IBF belt, which he took from Kell Brook. After defending the title twice, Spence had a unification bout against Mikey Garcia, who had a record of 39-0 and left no chance for him. Meanwhile, Bud was fighting, defending his sole WBO belt in the division, defeating both young lions and dangerous veterans in equal measure. Overall, he racked up 5 defenses of that title before falling out with his longtime promoter, Top Rank, and going on his own path. Crawford conducted his 6th defense under the wing of another organization, facing David Avanesian, whom the champion defeated by knockout at the midpoint of the fight. The Truth during this time managed to be involved in an incredibly terrifying accident from which he miraculously emerged unscathed by some divine intervention, and also acquired his 3rd WBA belt by defeating Yordenis Ugas. While his future opponent Crawford maintained a friendship with Bob Arum, Spence's promoter couldn't reach an agreement for the fight due to everyone trying to pull the blanket over their side. However, as soon as Crawford departed, the necessary people quickly got to work and the fight was officially announced. And now we have reached our present time, so we can finally discuss this fight from the perspective of technique and boxing mastery. Technique. For those who enjoy watching beautiful boxing, please prepare your tissues and blister cream because it's about to get really exciting. Let's start with analyzing Spence's technique, as it's more straightforward and fits the description of timeless classic. So let's begin with the main point. Errol is an intelligent southpaw with an excellent jab. In general, a boxer with such skill set would be enough to defeat 80% of the roster without breaking a sweat. But let's delve into the details. The Truth is a pretty big guy, standing just over 5'9" tall, and his arm reach is even more impressive, which helps him with his jabs. Spence is not the type of guy who mindlessly throws jabs multiple times in hopes of a miracle. He likes to get close and does it very quickly with his long step of the lead foot. During this footwork, Spence widens his stance, allowing him to move slightly forward to double up the jab or quickly return to the original position. He can also lean back to avoid incoming punches. His reaction time is quite good, combined with his extended arms, which makes it difficult for opponents to land clean shots. Let's talk a bit more about his footwork. It's the wider stance that makes Spence's jab very uncomfortable and effective. Additionally, the champion enjoys increasing the tempo and throwing these lead hand strikes more frequently from round to round. In terms of pure footwork, the Truth doesn't rely heavily on cutting angles, utilizing unexpected pivots, or lightning-fast positioning behind the opponent's back. That's not his style. The wide foot placement allows him to move swiftly along a straight line in both directions and only slightly sidestep, which is sufficient for his attacks or retreats. As Spence is used to taking the lead, he often controls the center of the ring, so there is no hindrance to moving backwards to evade punches. The champion's left hand is a serious weapon in any dispute. Besides the obviously good straight punches, I like to highlight body shots, especially the left hook. Spence accurately and effectively targets the body, and he perfectly utilizes the hook when he spots openings in his opponent's defense. For Danny Garcia, for example, this punch was a serious problem. I also want to mention Spence's clinching ability. Due to his physical strength, he easily takes the initiative in the clinch and can deliver significant damage with his excellent inside fighting. Now finally, it's time for Crawford. This guy is a first-class magician and illusionist, but he uses his talent not on stage but in the ring. All of Bud's mastery lies in two main qualities: flexible thinking and adapting during the fight. No other welterweight demonstrates such speed and quality of adjusting their style on the fly, which puts Crawford's opponents in a dilemma. His skill set also corresponds to thoroughly confusing his opponents. As you probably know, Crawford is ambidextrous, and it doesn't matter to him which stance he has to box in, it solely depends on the opponent's skills. In the fight against Kell Brook, Crawford was losing the initial rounds as the Brit found it comfortable to work with him. However, as soon as Terence switched to a different stance, the entire style of his opponent crumbled. And there you have it, a knockout. Unlike Spence, Terence enjoys various footwork maneuvers, which are an integral part of his style. The champion can be standing in one position peacefully, and the next second he delivers a hook from a completely different angle. Crawford's footwork is very agile, and to a large extent, he uses it for defensive purposes. He doesn't particularly favor the classic guard position with his hands, therefore you often see him getting caught with a lead hook or straight in the early stages of a fight. But rest assured, after taking such a hit, Crawford won't let it happen again. He seems to memorize all the opponent's actions and constructs a plan in his mind on how to turn them against him. Speaking of Crawford's style of work, he prefers to act as a counterpuncher, but can still switch gears and come at his opponents like an armored train if needed. Crawford's jab is not as crisp and emphasized as Spence's, and it's primarily used to gauge the distance, while the majority of his damage is done with hooks. Due to his ability to switch stances, he has developed power in each hand, and any of these punches now pose a threat. However, in my opinion, his left hook is the most powerful. Another undeniable advantage of Bud is his balance. He never loses his stability during a strike, and it's incredibly challenging to catch him off balance. All fans unanimously proclaim that Crawford's boxing IQ is unbelievably high, and you know what? I agree with them. After watching numerous fights of the champion, I haven't seen any incredibly powerful punches or unreadable footwork like Lomachenko, for example. There don't seem to be any skills that reach that superhuman level, yet Terence is simply smarter than anyone he fights, and that's his strongest attribute. It's like in chess, the smartest wins, and Crawford currently holds the position of the Grandmaster. Endurance and mentality. You know, I absolutely dislike it when I have nothing to say, and this is precisely one of those cases. These guys have top-level cardio, and it's not entirely clear what could make them tired. Both have had full fights and also faced challenging opponents, yet Spence and Crawford consistently leave the ring as if they hadn't thrown a punch for 12 rounds. Such cardio at the championship level is undoubtedly impressive, but it also adds to the uncertainty of the outcome since their endurance seems to be more or less equal. Therefore, we have even more doubts about the winner. One should never underestimate the aspect of mental fortitude, even when it comes to fights at the highest level. At first glance, both fighters appear calm. No wonder, given the number of battles they've already been through. On the other hand, during joint press conferences, Spence often tries to provoke his opponent into a conversation, particularly emphasizing the differences in their opposition. According to Spence, Crawford hasn't fought anyone serious apart from Shawn Porter, to which Terence responded with his usual phrases about limitless greatness and legacy. It's unusual for the Truth to try to taunt his opponent. Typically, he shows great respect towards everyone, both inside and outside the ring. Perhaps I'm exaggerating, and it's just Spence's attempt to attract more attention with some trash talk. He surely knows that Crawford isn't the type to engage in insults or provocations, so he's trying to stir things up a bit. But it's also possible that Errol is genuinely feeling a bit nervous about facing the best boxer in his career, and in that case, I would say that the mental advantage goes to Crawford. This fight will be even more exciting in reality than one could imagine on paper. Each of these fighters possesses significant advantages that can help them against the other. Let's start with the fact that Crawford hasn't faced a southpaw opponent in over 5 years, and it's not just some random passenger but a boxer of the same elite level with very apparent strengths. Additionally, Spence will be stronger and, in my opinion, slightly faster than Crawford. These physical attributes will help him deal with Terence in close quarters, but the question is whether it will be enough for victory. Clearly, it won't be sufficient. In contrast to Spence's superior qualities, Bud has his footwork, which will undoubtedly give his opponents a headache. The thing is, Shawn Porter managed to take the fight against Spence to a split decision, and he did it by unexpectedly attacking him when cutting angles. Naturally, Terence has a different build and stylistics, but his footwork will be even more intricate than what Shawn displayed. By the way, there's a paradox. It's generally more challenging for both orthodox and southpaw fighters to face southpaw opponents, so it's not even clear who will be more uncomfortable working against whom here. Experience will play an important role. Many fans have a certain disregard for Crawford because he hasn't fought the best boxers in each weight division, whereas Spence has already met and defeated genuinely tough guys. Of course, this doesn't guarantee anything, but in a fight like this, every detail matters. Choosing a favorite here is incredibly difficult. I want to consider all the intricacies. During the preparation for this fight, my opinion changed several times, but now it seems to have settled definitely, and I would choose Terence Crawford as the winner. I have great faith in his boxing IQ and unorthodox style. I believe that for a classical boxer like Spence, who is very close to that type, it would be too challenging to navigate through all the traps and feints that such a smart and talented guy like Crawford can offer. Again, the fight is very close, and in terms of percentage, I would give it a 60-40 in favor of Terence. But again, this is my personal opinion, and I express it based on my own beliefs. Okay guys, now I'm waiting for your opinion in the comments. Who will win? Let's discuss everything.